She don't know that her mic's on. Wire to the Bluetooth control box. Hey, in this video, we are going to rebuild this 1995 Club Car DS. This thing is tired. It's about 30 years old, hasn't had a lot of loving, and we're gonna rectify that. Don't miss the last part of this video where we upgrade to lithium iron phosphate batteries. That's a good part. And then along the way, we're not going to go into too much detail, but we are going to show you little things where, right here's a good example, where the power wire bypassed the solenoid. I guess the solenoid is bad, and instead of fixing it, they just bypassed it and left it on all the time. So we spent a lot of time here going through the electrical. We looked at the wiring diagram, tried to understand the wiring diagram, spent a lot of time really making sure the wiring of the golf cart was exactly the way it came out of the factory. And we wanted to do that so that when we installed the new lithium iron phosphate battery kit, that we were starting from, ground zero with not having to fix a bunch of problems. So we knew there was a bunch of electrical issues, and we did work through all those and get them fixed. And it was really gratifying when you push the little pedal down for the first time and you actually see the golf cart move. That was awesome. However, that was short-lived. As soon as we took it out for the first time, running it out down the road and back, could tell that there was a bearing down somewhere either in the motor or the transaxle. I didn't really see any reason to beat around the bush. We ended up just taking this thing apart, removing the rear transaxle out in the motor. We just ordered all the new bushings, bolts, suspension parts, and then I was able to find the information after seeing the data plate on the motor to order brushes. And once we got into the motor, you'll see here soon that, yeah, it was difficult to get this apart, but really didn't have a lot of experience either. But once we got into the motor, we found that the actual motor had a bad bearing in it, and that's where we were getting a lot of our noise. Now, this is the transaxle. We went through and took it apart, and to be quite honest, as soon as we got inside it, I was pleasantly surprised that there were no metal shards and all the bearings looked in great shape. Somebody has changed the oil in this at least, because there's no sign of damage whatsoever inside the transaxle. I will say this though, we did end up having to replace the seal down at the bottom where I just took that shaft out there. There's a seal that it goes through, and that seal is leaking, so I had to order a new seal for that. But again, the transaxle was in really good shape. I did put new axle bearings out at the end of the axles, and that's something you don't have to tear the transaxle apart to do. But I went ahead and did that. I didn't put it on video because it just really wasn't that interesting. There's 1,000 videos on that. So here's another part that I really enjoyed. We were buttoning this thing back up, start making the gasket for it, and start putting everything together. This is fun to me. I really enjoy doing stuff like this. I know I'm going to get beat up here. I use premium universal hydraulic transmission fluid, and it's for tractors. However, it surpasses all the requirements that are needed for this transaxle, and it's something I keep on hand because of all the tractors. Once we got the transaxle apart, it was time to start taking the motor apart. And once we got this is where you get in there and find out, wow, this thing is 30 years old. It's I'm pretty sure that no one has ever changed the brushes in this. There was you'll see here, this is the bearing. Yeah, this is the bearing we were taking off. We replaced this bearing, but if you look at the armature there, it's got a pretty good sized gap. And here I'm using a file just to knock that down. I know in a perfect world, we'd mount this up in a lathe and, go through and put a really nice finish over the top of it. But this is not a perfect world. We don't have a lathe that big. I got a little small lathe, but nothing big enough for that. Anyway, it turned out really nice, and the brushes didn't make noise. There was a lot of noise coming from the brushes because they were rubbing on that little trench it was basically going around in. Another portion that's pretty satisfying when you start putting it all back together. And, in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, did I do it right? Did I do it right? Here, this is important. Put grease on this shaft. I've read a lot of information about when you put the motor back onto the transaxle. If you don't put grease in that shaft, there's some wear in there, and the grease actually quietens it down. And I'll tell you, it did work. I'll tell you that in advance, it did work and it did quieten it down. So do put grease on that shaft. I used I think an N2. It's a high red tacky. All right, so once the golf cart's rear end was put together, we did go ahead and put new heavy-duty springs and shocks and, you know, all the suspension parts. We did replace all of them, but it's kind of boring to show that. Then we went to the front of this thing, and let me tell you what, this is original. Everything in the front end was original. Everything had been there for 30 years, and I'm going to tell you what, it was a chore to get through. I did have to heat each one and use the air hammer to get these things off. Let me give you a rundown on what we did. We replaced all of the bushings. We replaced all of the tie rod ends, and we also replaced the steering gearbox. Then we had to do a front end alignment when it was all said and done. But that C-clamp right there, you just seen, that was my wife's idea. She's like, get the C-clamp and use it to push it all together, and voila, it works. Here you can see us putting in the new steering gearbox, and I will say this. All of the parts are available for this thing, and they're fairly reasonably priced. You can get new parts for this thing through several websites. I got a lot through Amazon. So my intentions are not to have this back over at the shop for a long time. So we did all the bearings, so greased everything, put new seals, new bushings. Everything about the steering is new now. We went through again, like I said, and this is such a satisfying thing for me, where you go through and repair and replace and rebuild. And this golf cart has lasted 30 years, and I don't see any reason whatsoever that it's not going to last another 30 years. So now we're going to do the next step is get this thing set on the ground and put the batteries in. So we got the golf cart in a really good position right now. It's got new front suspension, new tires, new brakes, rebuilt the motor, rebuilt the transmission, new bearings, new seals. The only thing now we need to look at is we're going to kind of make this thing a sleeper. It's not a new golf cart. Matter of fact, it's a 30-year-old golf cart, but it's going to be bad to the bone because we're going to be putting in this kit from EPOCH batteries. Now, this is a 90 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery kit. It comes with everything you need to install. So they say. I don't know for sure because I'm going to do it in front of you. So here we go. We got the charger down on the floor. We've got a power pack. Now this power, it takes 48 volts and changes it to your 12 volts or 25 amps to 12 volts for like your lights, and if you want to have a radio, a sound bar, those kind of things. Then it has this communication doodad right here that is Bluetooth. So you'll be able to monitor your batteries just using your phone. It comes with the 3 batteries. It also comes with this, this is where you'll plug it in. You take out the factory plug and you'll be able to plug just a regular extension cord in. This is your power distribution blocks. Comes with all the communication cables, a gauge, let's see, and all the cables for the battery to make these parallel. We will be doing this in parallel because these are already all 48 volt batteries. 52 volt actually. So anyway, let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do, it did come with this little gauge right here too, but I'm going to use the other one. I think it's an option. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take out the original batteries. Let me show you what that looks like, and then we'll pull them out. And yeah, that's a hot mess right there. We'll go ahead and pull all this out, and when you see it again, it'll be cleaned up. We've got a little work to do in there also. All right, so what I'm going to do now is disconnect the batteries. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the ground over here. When you see this again, this is all going to be taken out, and I'll show you what we have to repair. Take a look down in here. We're going to we cleaned it up, put some black paint on it, kind of protect the aluminum, and then we put some boards down. I think it looks pretty good. So these batteries don't weigh anything. You know, they're really light compared to the lead acid. Lead acid are absolutely horrifically heavy. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put the batteries primarily on this side. And it comes with this little strap thing here. I thought that was kind of neat. But I'm going to put the batteries on this side because primarily the operator is going to be on this side. So we're going to try to offset the weight, even though these batteries don't weigh that much. I believe 2 of these batteries will fit right here. I want them to be the same. A positive on that side All right, so I just come back from the parts house, and believe it or not, finding a red cable that's long is hard. Now, it used to be going to any automotive store, and you could find a red cable in any length and a black cable in any length. Now there's only black cable. So what I did is I found the black cable, and I put some red conduit over the top of it, just to let it know that everybody knows that that is the positive, if I'm not the only one working on this. So this is the ground cable for the golf cart, and it is black. Now we just got to figure out how we're going to mount this. You know, this is the challenge, if you will. I don't know if that'll go. I can go over further with that. I think that'll probably work right there. So what I'm gonna do, they've got some self tappers here. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Screw these boards down into place. So we have the charger here and the cable that goes to the charger, the big green cord. So we got to mount this one to the actual bus bar. And it says it's got the brown wire is the positive battery and the blue wire is the negative battery. Obviously it'd be the opposite. So what we're going to do is take the brown wire, go ahead, since we're hooking up the positive bus bar, and these are thinner wires, so I'm going to have these going the opposite directions to the inside because the wires will bend easy enough. Okay, so I went and downloaded the actual wiring diagram for this kit, and it's really important you do that because this book comes in the battery box, and it does have a diagram and it's a general reference, but it doesn't have this specific unit right here, this power converter, and it's very important that we follow the right one. So here's the ticket right here. It shows that the yellow and black go to 48 volts, and then once you get the 48 volts, it comes out on these two wires, which is positive and negative. These are your 25 amps of 12 volts. This is for like if you want to run a stereo or you want lights or anything like this. Now this orange wire is by itself. You get two choices of this. First choice is you can put the orange wire with the power wire, the yellow one, on the bus bar, and this keeps this on all the time. It will keep your gauge on all the time. So no matter what you do, there's going to be power on it. And what that'll be is like it's going to be siphoning power off all the time, even minuscule amounts, but it's still going to be on and siphoning power off all the time. The only way you could get around that would be to turn off each battery. So you don't want to have to do that. If you put this to a key source, when you turn the key on, it turns this unit on. You turn that key off, it turns this unit off. So you're not pulling power. So your gauge will go off, everything will go off. So that's the way we're going to hook ours up, which I would consider that the right way. And if you don't want to get in there and figure out which wire is your positive wire, then we'll cross that bridge here in just a minute. We got everything kind of set up in here. I'm just going to find a place to mount all these parts. I got the Bluetooth controller. We're going to put the charger right here, but for now I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side, and we're going to take out the plug where it charges. So at the front there's 3 fillet screws, and we're going to take this loose. The kit comes with a new one that allows a standard pass-through plug of a standard extension cord. All right, so this is the new plug that goes in where you plug the charger up, and all it is basically an extension cord that goes through there. And this one, the original one, come with this metal plate on the back, and it has 4 holes, but there's no amount of clocking this that's going to allow that to work. So this is fiberglass. So I'm hoping this won't be a big deal. I'm just screwing these into fresh holes, and it's got a big nice rubber gasket on the back of it. Don't complain. Look at that. Here is the big cable that goes to the charger. And what I'm going to do now is I really got to figure out where I'm going to mount all this stuff. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take these this loose so that it's flexible, and we'll probably tie it up somewhere different in a different way. We gotta figure out how we're going to. This is a quick connect here too. I like that a lot. So let's see if we can route this behind it, and that may give me room to mount. There's really nothing behind it over here, so I can run this cable over the top and go over here, tie all that off, charge it. I have this cable which plugs into the back of that port we just put through, and then this plugs in here. So now I'm mounting the power converter. This one converts 48 volts to 12 volts. So this will allow us to, in the future, run some lights. And if we want to put a radio, do that. Put these little screws in here. These are the self-tapping or self-drilling screw. I'm going to now mount this charger, and I think it's going to be just fine right there. It's got that little fan when you're charging it. So I notice this unit does not have any way, like the old unit, it would not let you. The old unit would not let you charge and turn it on at the same time. I guess this one, the way the system's set up, it thinks you're smart enough to unplug it before you drive away. I think we'll manage. There's it off. That's probably never coming off. You know what? You're just going to put up with golf cart etiquette leftover sticker.
I'll fix it.
There's a little nuts. You clamp it with your finger. So pretty much got everything in place, and then what we'll do after we get everything, we figured out where everything goes. You have like screw tie downs for this, but I've kind of got everything jumbled up over here. It's really not anywhere to put it. These batteries are supposed to last like 25 years. So what I'm going to do, it comes with this stuff here. It's a two-sided tape. Right here. Pull the back of it off, and I'm just going to put this on the side of the battery. So everything is mounted now. What I'll go ahead and do before I tidy all the wires up, and then we still have to find the one wire that comes on when the key turns on. Can you put the key back in it? There's our charger running. That's kind of how we got the setup here. I'll give you a look from both sides. And I went ahead and run a power wire to the Bluetooth control box. So now, when you turn the key on, it takes a second to power up. I just turn the key on, and you'll notice that this, here it comes, shows that it's charging, shows us 19 to 20 amps going in the charger right now. So there's our distribution box. Hope you can see that pretty well. And we went ahead and put a new forward and reverse switch on it, because I had one. This is the charger, and it's running right now. It's got that little small fan. And you see right here is the 25 amp in reducer. It reduces it from 48 volts down to 12 volts. So if we ever want to add lights or whatever, we can do that. Then here is the Bluetooth control box. And now we can see what's going on with the phone. She don't know that her mic's on. You get to hear all the sounds that she's making. You like it?
I like it.
It'll be fun on the farm.
Yep.
All right. What you do is push the gas pedal as fast as you can. All the way down. Y'all see if it's spinning tires. Fast. My goodness.
I'm going right into the house.
Yeah, that's quick. All right, so let's go take this.
Not as bumpy, you mean?
Let's go take us a ride around the cul-de-sac here. Somebody needs to quit driving trailers across the yard.
Yeah, that would help.
There we go. Could get my GPS out. I don't care how fast it goes, as long as it's a lot faster than I can walk.
Yeah. Well, you got the side by side.
Yeah, it'd do 45, so if I want to get somewhere quick, I can ride side by side. Is it driving okay?
Yeah. Brakes. Woo!
She's not even pushing the gas.
So it's time to take the golf cart to the farm. It's going to be pretty handy when I'm going to needing stuff back and forth to the greenhouse and stuff. So looking forward to. You did an awesome. It was one person in it. It's going to come handy pretty good.